What's the best year in gaming? 2007. Is it 2007?
I'm going 2017.
I actually don't believe 2007, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the huge stuff. I think 2007 was a really significant year that sort of marked the beginning of modern gaming.
Yes.
Which is a hard thing to pinpoint, but like that is really a bunch of stuff kind of shifted that year, and a bunch of huge franchises started that we're still talking about today that have really became like, you know, kind of emblematic of what, you know, the gaming landscape looks like. GTA 4 came out. That was, you know, one of the biggest games of the year, and I think it was interesting because that was Rockstar getting more serious. That was their first foray into like, this is bordering on realistic. You know, it was still goofy, still cartoony, it still had like Mad Magazine business names, but it was like they were starting to kind of rein things in a bit compared to, you know, what eventually, you know, happened in in 5. Like 5 is pretty
and
pretty
I mean, and you could also take your cousin bowling.
So I went to the midnight launch for that at a GameStop in New Jersey. And I guess accidentally, I know, I just missed you. I accidentally cosplayed as Nico Bellic because that's exactly how I looked at the time.
You had no hair that time as well?
Yeah, or like a little bit.
And then the fingerless gloves, you know?
I honestly,
helicopter getting there.
I smoked cigarettes, so I probably did have fingerless gloves for some dumb reason where I was just like, oh, this is cool.
It was
through your finger.
It was the 2000s. We did a lot of fashion things that just did not make a lot of sense back then.
Yeah.
There was also Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which it's funny looking at, like we are all like Call of Duty again, an annualized thing that didn't get annualized until 2, I think. Like a 3-year gap, 2 or 3 year gap between the first one and the second one. And at that point, it was like, oh, cool, they're making a new one. And then it's also, you're like, oh, it's like a Saving Private Ryan game series, whatever. It's like a Medal of Honor competitor.
Modern Warfare.
And then Modern Warfare was like,
it changed that game. And I'm not a Call of Duty guy, but that game changed gaming forever.
I lost weeks to that game. Like it was just so like just gripping on me and my friend group. Like that was all we played. Like, it was, and when none of us were big Call of Duty fans before that, because all the previous ones were like just remasters of Call of Duty 1, remaster of Call of Duty 2, like these PC Call of Duty games that were bringing out, that came out and then on like the PS2. And they did like the Big Red 1 edition.
Oh yeah, the big what was that?
Big Red 1,
Big Red 1.
Yeah, it was like Big Red 1 edition.
Former PS3 slogan.
The Big Red 1.
You know, it had Clifford in there somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like this one came out and it just was so just fundamentally different from all the previous Call of Duties. Like we had seen Call of Duty 3 with the 360's launch when they ported it over, and it was starting to kind of get into that online play and like competitive landscape. But it didn't take off as well as I'm sure Activision wanted to, and then they dropped this.
The other thing that happened in 2007 was Halo 3 had dropped, which was
that
huge,
too.
and people loved the multiplayer of that. And then Modern Warfare, I think, rode that wave, and it was 100%. Multi-platform, so it clicked in a lot of ways there.
And it was more realistic, so people who didn't were like, I don't want to shoot aliens because I'm too cool to shoot aliens.
Also like, I don't want to play a World War II shooter. That's old. Those guns are made of wood. It's like, but no, it's a fitting title, Modern Warfare, because it really was sort of it marked the beginning of what gaming is still feeling those influences. Like we're still kind of getting that.
Still the best-selling franchise every single year. Oh yeah, because of that game.
Yep. Straight up. And then we also got Bioshock, which
best game of the year, hands down.
Opposite end of the shooter spectrum is like it really makes you think. Multiplayer?
Do you all remember like downloading that demo and playing that the beginning of that game and like your ship crash landing in the water and then you swimming to a tower and then going in the tower and ending up in Bioshock? Was like there was at the time, I think that was the most impressive like first 15 minutes of any video game ever.
That's what got me to buy a 360.
Yeah,
that Bioshock literally is what was the reason, because it was a 360 exclusive at launch, and that's what made me buy a 360. Because my one of my coworkers was like just touting this game and stuff like that, and I was like, all right, let me give it a try, and I was just blown away. Like this,
the water on fire and like the little like elevator submarine stuff, and then seeing the whales outside of the city was just like, I was like the design like philosophy in this game is off the chart. Like I've never seen anything like this before. It's so cool.
I mean, it's the equivalent of like a really just amazing establishing shot or like opening scene. It's it's an opening, but I think it really also it does so much to completely present what's going to happen, which is not what's going to happen, but really
like pull you into the world so you know what to expect. Not what you don't know what to expect.
It is a thesis statement. It very much is upfront with what's going on. And
you got a good list here so far, Max.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, 2007 was legit. There was also, and again, apologies for talking about what were at one point Xbox exclusives on a PlayStation show, but also Mass Effect, which was kind of the beginning of BioWare had done Knights of the Old Republic. They had done Neverwinter Nights and stuff like that. A bunch of RPGs, but I feel like Mass Effect was the first one that was like, this is a kind of crossover RPG because it's got like shooting in it. It's got like action, more heavy action mechanics, and it's also proof that they could deliver a big epic space opera without a Star Wars license.
Yeah.
It established itself as like original IP, and we're still talking about it. We're still waiting for whatever the next one is.
I had very mixed feelings about Mass Effect when it first dropped. Like I was like very excited, and I was like, BioWare, sweet. I loved KOTOR, and I got to the Citadel, and then I fell asleep one night, and I never turned the game back on again. I've since gone back and beaten them, but
of course,
but like at that time, I was like, I'm so bored, like walking around the Citadel talking to everybody, because you guys know me, I'm a completionist, so I got to go talk to everybody. I got to go get all the quests. I got to find all the stuff, like before I can move on. It's a thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Assassin's Creed, that was
the first one. Yeah,
that dropped that year, which is like, I mean, it's crazy that kind of the birth of the modern open world game there,
mixed with stealth too.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we had GTA 4 that year, which obviously revolutionized open world games, but that was all like guns out blazing, right? Like this is a city where everybody sees you and you're shooting everyone, driving cars. And Assassin's Creed was just like you're sneaking up behind people, you're shanking them, and then you're hiding.
Well, that was like that totally like chocolate and peanut butter combination.
Yeah.
Like stealth and open world. You're like, what? And also, I feel like it was. I mean, there's definitely stuff where they would like cordon you off with the animus and like mission structure.
Yeah.
Like as far as the exploration went, I think it was more. I honestly can't remember the first one that well, but like, compared to GTA, where it was always like you'd get to a toll booth and they're like, you can't go here yet.
Yeah.
You haven't unlocked the second island. Like it was kind of like locked off, which was sometimes like technical limitations or, gameplay limitations. But I feel like, the modern, done to death open world game that Ubisoft churns out is still really close to what this was.
Yeah.
Like it still very much has that kind of those guts to it. And
also the costume design on the assassin was incredibly inspired at the time too. Like this is not like video game protagonists didn't look like this. Nothing really looked like this, right? I mean, we had guys with hoodies in the previous generation and like, Mark Echo's Getting Up or whatever, but like the assassin design was just super, super cool.
This is the one game that I was so hyped for at launch that I ended up returning, like right off the bat. Like I was so like, I loved everything about the design of the game, but the gameplay itself was just, it was so minimal.
It was definitely an almost, and they definitely, there we go, Mark
Echoes,
Getting Up.
yes, for the PS2 and Xbox.
The Assassin's Creed 2 is when they were like, okay, now it's
and that's what got me to go back and play 1. Is like I played 2 and I was like, okay, let me go finish 1 because I want to know what happened.
Well, that's so often the case. I mean, look at Mass Effect 2 is where they stuck the landing there, and it's we also got Portal in the orange box that year. Which was Team Fortress
My God
as well, which is just wild.
But to have one of the best games ever made slipped quietly into a collection of other incredible games is unfathomable.
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore.
No,
like you don't just get. They don't just go like, hey, we're gonna throw
Wind Waker in here with Tears of the Kingdom. Like you're gonna get that
you buy Tears of the Kingdom and there's quietly just another classic Zelda game sitting there. Like Portal was mind blowing at the time. Like that Portal was
also Half-Life 2.
Oh my God,
stuff and just. The orange box,
Team Fortress.
How dare you? What a flex. Like what? Like,
seriously?
Yeah, Valve, and then they're like, "Where's Half-Life 3?" And it's like, "Shut up! Look what they just knocked that out of the
You got your value back in 2007, guys. You're not due till 2027. They
don't need to make a game for 16. Well, I mean, they did Alex and all that, but
just like the idea of opening up, like hitting the start menu on this game, and then just having this choice.
Yeah, we get that now with like remastered collections and stuff like that, but this was unheard of in 2007.
Yeah. And Portal was such a big thing. Like.
And that was a kind of meta narrative, self-aware sense of humor that is now often cringy.
I just can't wait for the cake. I can't wait for the cake to get here for Beyond's 800th birthday today.
Cake, yeah. I did promise cake. What could go wrong? The Witcher launched in 2007, which is unrecognizable compared to what that series.
The first Witcher,
First Witcher from a little tiny Polish studio, which was I think running on the KOTOR engine. And I remember one of the either CDPR guys or the just regular PR guys was talking about how like they have like the biggest, most crazy presence at E3 now when they're showing off Cyberpunk and stuff like that. But back then they had like folding chairs in a conference room and they're like, please look at our game, check it out. This is about
there was I mean, obviously, I guess this 2007, I don't know if the E3 was back at the airport or if it was at the convention center, but there was an area in the LA Convention Center called Kensha Hall, which the longtime listeners will probably recognize as like a place where like that's where like the Telltale's The Walking Dead was first debuted, and it was just like these like 7 bathroom-sized booths with no fanfare in between the main 2 giant halls at E3, and they were just like you would just go in there and it was like, hey, please clap, like a lot of really tiny games were in there that went on to become some of the biggest franchises on Earth. So it's
Speaking of humble beginnings and all that, Uncharted launched in 2007.
Wow, did you segue humble beginnings with like literally the whole sick sick service?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm terrible.
We want to talk a little bit about sort of Uncharted in a little bit, but I think 2007 really, really killer year for gaming.
Incredibly strong argument there.
Really phenomenal, but we are obnoxious people who can't agree on things.
Yeah.
So we each picked competitive years for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jada, why don't you kick this off?
So it's 2017, 10 years later. This is when PS4's in full swing. My game of the year for that year was Nier Automata. That game was just
Phenomena.
Automata. But Nier Automata, just a fantastic freaking RPG from Square, from like a but a franchise that really just hadn't been a lot done with it. Just storytelling, just the gameplay, just top notch. The soundtrack, I listen to the soundtrack regularly.
Okay, we got like 3 pages of games, so we should rapid fire this.
Yep. Horizon Zero Dawn. Just, that series is going strong. We're going to get another one. Just heard about that today. Prey. Which, obviously had a little bit of bumps at the start, but solid game. We got Uncharted Lost Legacy, so Uncharted still kicking strong. Evil Within 2, Resident Evil 7, Sonic Mania. Sonic came back. Sonic was good again. Finally, Brian.
Finally.
Gravity Rush 2, Neo, Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed reinvented their formula. And then we got Cuphead, which was a fantastic platformer. I freaking love Cuphead. And we also have Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey that year. Like, what was 2017?
A strong theme in 2017 is that, so Resident Evil, Assassin's Creed, and Zelda, at the time, incredibly long-running, beloved classic video game franchises that completely reinvented themselves successfully.
Yes.
That is incredibly hard to do, and all 3 of those things did that year. Like, how insane was it when they were like, Resident Evil is a first-person game now, but it is stylistically within the roots of the original game, but now it's also set in some like backwoods trash house in New Orleans.
But also it connects to the main timeline, maybe?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think, whatever that plate of spaghetti is. Yeah.
Brian, what about you?
So I went with 2020, and the reason I want to contextualize that is because 2020 fucking sucked. On a social level, on a public health level, on a being alive on planet Earth level, and we needed video games that year, arguably more than we've ever have in history.
Video games did a lot of heavy lifting.
Yes, they let us explore magical, distinct worlds that were on our TVs in places where we couldn't go anywhere, really. So 2020 had The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima,
another banger,
Doom Eternal,
another banger,
Animal Crossing, New Horizons, brand new next-gen console launches with the
big banger
PS5 and the Series X and S, Spider-Man Miles Morales, launch title, Demon Souls Remake, launch title, Astro's Playroom, launch title. We had Final Fantasy VII Remake that year
banger.
with Hades. We had Microsoft Flight Simulator, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Hyrule Warriors, which I can take or leave, Streets of Rage 4, awesome, Star Wars Squadrons, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Genshin Impact, and Half-Life Alyx.
I might like 2020 better.
There's a lot of really good stuff in there. I put some filler in there, right? Like Ori and Genshin, and like those are big games.
But those had some good impact though. Like,
sure,
Genshin is freaking.
Genshin had a considerable impact.
Yeah.
I chose that name
but to the fact that we started that year in like such a dark place, and we ended that year with the console launches, despite the fact that it seemed like that wouldn't happen, and we spent like getting to run around in Ghost of Tsushima in photo mode. In when they closed the playground next to my house, I couldn't take my kid anywhere, but I was like running around feudal Japan, and I was like, okay, this is Animal Crossing. Like, you know, obviously the heavy
Animal
lifting.
Crossing prevented a lot of suicides.
Yeah.
Like that full on kept people from that was having friends over to your island, like checking stuff out.
We had The Last of Us 2, which was probably a little on the nose for the timeline.
Yeah, I bounced off of that one because it was too real.
But
we also got Resident Evil 3 remake, which opens with "There's a horrible pandemic," and I was like, "Yeah, there is."
Yeah.
Anyway, let me fight Nemesis.
I mean, Demon Souls remake, Astro's Playroom, one of the best launch games ever made. Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Like, do you know how much I missed New York City that year? And I didn't get on an airplane. I didn't go home to see family, and I was just like,
yeah, it opens with that dude speed running a mall at Christmas time. Like it's
yeah. Like I spent a lot of time in Miles Morales just walking because I was like, I missed this.
This is my favorite bodega.
Yeah. It's
good stuff.
That's my case.
Pretty huge. So I love 2015. That's mine.
Okay.
And there's a lot of personal favorites there. We got Bloodborne, obviously.
I mean,
there
was no other year that could have been your favorite.
It's one of my all-time favorite games, right up there with Metal Gear Solid 5. And people are like, I never finished it. I said, neither did Kojima. But no, I mean, that's a phenomenal game. Yep. Also, The Witcher 3, Fallout 4. There were some very, very big games there.
Man.
That is, I mean, I think that is the year that this last generation hit its stride.
Yeah.
Rise of the Tomb Raider came out the same day as Fallout 4 as an Xbox One exclusive, which is unfortunately why I feel like I kind of got slept on.
One of the
best.
Yeah.
Best in the trilogy.
That is
hands down.
Yes. Yeah. Also one of the most notorious like bad launch day flubs in history, I would say.
Rocket League, kind of a smaller thing, but that launched on PlayStation Plus as like a little car soccer game, and it spun out into a massive esport.
You can't just show me Bloodborne footage like
we can watch more Bloodborne. We can just
it just means I have to go home and dump another 100 hours into that game. I can't look at it.
That's
how I get Brian to not do any work. I just send him clips of Bloodborne.
I know
it's not even me doing.
It's anything. Like if I'm a dog, you put peanut butter on my.
It's not even me doing anything. It's just me idle in the town, just like, hey, look.
We also got, I'm not done yet. There's more here. There's also Dying Light. There's Ori and the Blind Forest. There's Until Dawn. There's Mortal Kombat 10. There's Undertale. And then on the licensed front, there was Batman Arkham Knight, Mad Max, and Star Wars Battlefront. And I know that you kind of came around on 2. I still like the first one better. I feel like it's
Battlefront?
Yeah.
It's
got such a goddamn clean design. And that was also, I don't know, it had its faults, but also was just like a really gorgeous game.
I spent dozens of it was also like Force Awakens had just come out, and Star Wars fever was in the air again, and getting to play like a big gorgeous 3D next gen Star Wars game was just awesome.
And then finally, and this is easy to forget because it keeps getting re-released for other stuff, but GTA 5 came out on PS4 and Xbox One.
That's right.
And they did a considerable amount to like improve that game compared to the previous. Like they added a whole first person mode, and then you could eat peyote and turn into animals.
Yeah, that's right.
Those are the 2 features that most games need added. It's just I don't care.
GTA 5 is potentially on all of our years. By the way,
I mean that's exactly that is the definitive edition of that game. They added cell shading to the new one or something, but you know they spruced it up, and it's a hell of a game. So yeah. What do you think?
I'm interested with the audience. Remember, this is since Beyond started in 2006. 2007.
Yeah.
6. 7. 2007.
We know numbers.
Bad at math.